keeping students and school employees away from the dangers of the coronavirus while continuing with business operations? That's possible. Introducing vSmart Enroll, an online enrollment system that makes enrollment faster, safer, and more convenient. With vSmart Enroll, all relevant documents can be processed and organized in the comfort of your own home. Here's what vSmart Enroll can offer. vSmart Enroll works online and it promotes a 100% paperless transaction. vSmart Enroll paves the way for an easy and streamlined enrollment setup. It is modeled after M.A.Ed's learning information system to make sure that students' learning records are documented properly and tracked accordingly. This online enrollment system also supports the Data Privacy Act of 2012, so all your data is guaranteed safe and protected. You also don't have to worry about going out of your house to get enrolled, because with vSmart Enroll, everything can be done online within the safety of your own home. Vibal will also be with you throughout the entire enrollment journey, as we will provide consistent technical support to help you navigate smoothly through the system. vSmart Enroll is developed and designed for school administrators, registrars, students, and even for parents' use. With this highly convenient system, an hour of enrollment process can be trimmed down to 15 minutes or even less because of its easy and accessible registration and application process for parents and students. Even the registrars will experience fast and easy transactions. You can also subscribe to vSmart Enroll by paying through various payment channels. To subscribe to vSmart Enroll, school administrators just need to create a school account for their institution. How? Simply go to enroll.vsmart.ph, select your subscription plan, agree to the privacy policy, fill out the online registration form, and pay for subscription. Easy peasy! With this user-friendly online platform, the enrollment process can now be accomplished with just a few clicks. Start your enrollment now! Subscribe to vSmart Enroll and experience enrollment like never before.
Good day, Kavibal, and welcome to our Facebook Live learning session. For the discussion today, the topic will be on facilitating experiential learning in the virtual classroom. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions on the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kavibal? And now, to proceed with our webinar this morning, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. Mr. Jason Bergania is a cum laude graduate of BSc English from the Philippine Normal University. He completed the academic requirements from the master's program in speech communications from the University of the Philippines. He has a master's degree in educational management and leadership from St. Dominic Savio College. Furthermore, he completed national vocational qualifications in health and social care and the A-Level Assessors Program while working as a training department head in England, United Kingdom. He is currently on his dissertation writing for his Doctor of Education in Innovative Educational Management degree at the University of Makati. He was awarded Outstanding Educator for Teaching Excellence by the 2018 Dangal ng Bayan Award during the 38th People's Choice Excellence Award by the National Consumer Affairs Foundation in March 2018. He was also awarded Man of the Year 2019 for outstanding dedication in the field of innovative education by University Circle of Professional Educators Incorporated during the third UCPE International Conference in April 2019. He is also one of the board of directors of the Makati Private Schools Association. With his passion in teacher training and 21st century learning, he has been a resource person and paper presenter in several workshops, trainings, and he is also actively serving as the volunteer camp leader for the massive open online course programs in the city of Makati in partnership with the Department of State of the U.S. Embassy in Manila. He has more than 22 years of a combined teaching and educational leadership experience both here in the Philippines and abroad. Presently, he is the director of the Innovative Holistic Development Education Department of Global Innovative College, a progressive 21st century school in Manila. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Mr. Jason Bergania.
Hello, good morning. Ayan. Okay, good morning everybody. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Thank you for choosing to be with us today, this morning, to again learn through the Vibal webinar series. Okay, so allow me to just start sharing my screen. All right. Is it up there? Can someone please tell me, Miss Jillian?
Yes po sir, it can
All
be seen
right.
na po.
Okay. Thank you so much. So today's topic is facilitating experiential learning in the virtual classroom. All right. So I would like to once again thank Vibal for having me again. This is my second time to actually share, and I am very happy to have this opportunity to again discuss these topics that might be helpful to the faculty or to the teachers or fellow educators out there. The topic that I had last time is revitalizing education for the emerging normal and beyond, where we all understand the requirements of the time to redefine certain things about the future of learning, the requirement of the new normal to actually make us rethink and consider the many transitions that are happening nowadays. So let me start by asking all of you this essential question. At this time when educational institutions around the world shift to online or virtual learning modes and education transpires from the homes, what opportunities are there to still facilitate experiential learning? So I understand no, in the public schools, the classes will be opening in October, so medyo malapit na. At kami naman po sa private schools, we already have opened the school year. Like in the case of our school, we started our classes on August 24th. So in some way or another, medyo nakita na po namin kung paano aandar ang ating bola, no? How the ball will roll. And we already have the experience as to how we can make the necessary adjustments and how we can actually deliver effectively education at this time under the new normal. All right. So for today's targets, I have three. First, we will define what experiential learning is vis-a-vis new normal learning. We will also review relevant learning concepts and models which can aid us in reimagining virtual classes. Okay, here we are going to review some of the important learning models and concepts para po mas magkaroon tayo ng malinaw na kaisipan at mai-ready natin yung ating mga sarili kung paano nga ba magiging posible ang experiential learning kahit na po sa bahay nangyayari ang education at this time. And of course, to provide tips and suggestions in facilitating EXL or experiential learning in a virtual classroom. All right. So I have 1 full hour for myself. Medyo kinabahan nga po ako kasi sabi nga po no, may advisory na magkakaroon ng kaunting problema ang ating connectivity. So I was concerned baka medyo hindi makapag-participate ang karamihan sa ating mga guro. But for those who can actually have alternatives at nandito po tayo ngayon, maraming salamat po. And I'm sure this time, no, medyo busy rin yung iba sa atin dahil malapit na ang pasukan. At bukod doon, 10:00 ng umaga, this is the time when most of us are preparing our lunch, okay, sa bahay. So okay lang po yan. Basta just keep your computers and your cell phones on. Makinig lang po kayo sa akin. And then I will just continue sharing the ideas. And hopefully, we will end this discussion with all of you taking away some insights and new perspectives about the topic. Okay, so as I was checking our Facebook page, no, tinitingnan ko yung mga pictures that we posted on our Facebook page, and I have seen quite a lot of beautiful pictures which are now memories of the previous landscape of education. Medyo namimiss ko na sila, namimiss ko na yung classroom discussion, namimiss ko yung mga tour, namimiss ko yung pagbisita sa iba't ibang lugar, group activities of our students, even sports fest, no, mga experiments and partnerships sa mga iba't ibang institution, visit sa mga television stations. Ito po lahat ng mga ito, extracurricular, co-curricular activities, they are all done for a purpose because I believe and I'd like to believe that you also believe in the same principle na ginagawa po natin ang mga ito because we know that they aid learning. Okay, ang mga activities na ito, they actually support what our students are actually learning in the classroom. Kaya ginagawa natin ito. Ngayon, as I proceed checking the pictures dun sa aming Facebook page, ganito na yung nakikita ko ngayon. Ang mga pictures na naipopost na namin sa mga page, ganito na ang itsura. Ibang-iba na po doon sa aming nakasanayan in the past. Kasi yung mga activities na ginagawa natin dati, in some way, aminin natin mga teachers, when we are successful in executing those co-curricular activities and those experiential learning activities na ginagawa natin, we realize a certain level of achievement. Parang, wow, ang galing ko kasi ako yung in charge doon sa activity na to. Wow, ang galing ng mga estudyante ko kasi na-accomplish nila yung objectives ng task na binigay ko dun sa isang experiential learning activity. No? In some way, we feel a level of fulfillment and achievement as educators. Pero ngayon na naiba totally yung landscape and totally naiba rin po yung pamamaraan ng pagtuturo, we sometimes ask ourselves, am I still effective? Or can I still be effective at this time? under the new normal or the emerging normal. Parang ano ba ang magiging panukatan ng aking pagiging mahusay na guro ngayon na artificial yung aming session, no? Hindi ko siya nakikita physically, although there is video camera, pero hindi ko sila nakakasalamuha physically. All right. And so we ask or we say or we tell ourselves, I've been hearing quite a lot of fellow educators saying this, that with the currents of situation, experiential learning can be challenging and teachers may just settle on online lectures. Ito yung aking mga naririnig na ang tendency daw nating mga guro ay mag-lecture na lang doon po sa ating mga online platform. So ito po ay mga bagay na ating pag-uusapan ngayong umaga. All right. So I'd like to share with you some of the comments and some of the beliefs and conceptions na narinig ko, no, sa ibang mga fellow educators. And I consider these misconceptions. Okay, some of them are saying learning is now limited and passive. Passive na daw po ang pagka-aaral ngayon. Learning is now teacher-centered. So parang bumalik tayo doon sa dating practice. And then new normal learning is boring. Okay, some people are saying that. Meron nga po akong isang pamangkin ang sabi sa akin, Tito, parang nakakabobo yung online learning. Yun ang sabi niya, kaya medyo nagkaroon kami ng pag-uusap tungkol doon para maipaliwanag ko sa kanya na hindi. Virtual learning shall be mostly lecture. Okay, home-based learning is not fun. Yan po, may nagsabi din ganyan. Learning from home is tiring. I've been seeing a lot of teachers posting this, no? Ang magturo daw po online ay hindi biro dahil maghapong nakaupo, parang pagtatanim, ano? Okay? And virtual class is only about technology. Yan, sinasabi yung mga ibang conception. And then someone also said my creativity is suppressed in the virtual classroom. Okay? And then, meron din pong nagsabi na I cannot use my network anymore, meaning yung kanyang mga connections, yung kanyang mga partners under the virtual learning. So, these are some of the misconceptions na today I would like all of us to talk about. Kasi po, papatunayan po natin at pag-uusapan po natin na hindi po 100% totoo ang mga misconceptions na ito. Okay. I'd like to share with you what Benjamin Franklin quoted. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. Okay? Alam ko marami sa ating mga kaguruan, we consider this as a mantra or our guiding principle in our teaching because most of us believe that learning transpires when students are actually involved. When students are just sat, okay, listening passively, there's no learning. All right? And then, here comes also isa sa mga lodi natin, no, pagdating sa education, si John Dewey saying, give the pupils something to do, not something to learn. And the doing of such a nature as to demand thinking, learning naturally results. Okay, siya po yung nag-advocate sa atin ng learning by doing. Kaya naman po tayo naniniwala that when students are engaged in experiential learning, learning really transpires. All right, so before the pandemic, how do we do experiential learning? Okay, so nahandyan po na we do laboratory experimentation, we do educational tours and field trips, we also do school-based workshops, on-the-job training, outbound training, outdoor activities, volunteering, service learning, cultural immersion. We do also theater and drama and all sorts of these experiential learning activities. Okay, so pwede pa ba? Yan po ang malaking katanungan. Paano ba natin magagawa pa ang mga ito? Ngayon po ang pag-aaral ay nasa bahay na. Alright. And so let's first define, my fellow educators, what is experiential learning? Experiential learning, also known as EXL, is the process of learning through experience and is more specifically defined as learning through reflection on doing. So EXL po is not just learning by doing. It is having that element of reflection on doing. While hands-on learning can be experiential learning, it does not automatically mean there is reflection. Kaya po tandaan po natin, no, yung premise ng pag-uusapan natin is reflective learning. All right? For experiential learning to transpire. All right. So tingnan po natin ito. According to Kolb in 1984, learning is the process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. Dun po sa experiential learning cycle, okay, yung pong experience ng estudyante, nagkakaroon po dapat ng reflection. Ano ba ang naging impact nung experience na ito? Ano ang importansya ng experience na ito? How is this experience relevant to me? So these are the questions that can be asked as part of reflection. Okay? And then the student conceptualize. And then the student applies. At doon po niya nakikita yung pagkatuto at relevance ng kanyang karanasan. All right. So before we proceed, I would like to start by encouraging all of you to reimagine learning because this is very important for all of us to facilitate experiential learning. Gusto ko po na i-request ang lahat na i-prepare po natin ang ating mga sarili to actually unlearn so we can relearn and learn new things, no? Tandaan po natin, no, the illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot unlearn, relearn, and learn. So, buksan po natin yung ating mga pag-iisip kung nahando na po tayo sa moment na tayo po ay naka-face na sa wall, na suko na tayo, buksan po natin ulit ang ating mga boxes, okay? And let's think out of the box because it is possible to still continue facilitating experiential learning even in the virtual scenario. All right. So ano ba itong mga concepts na gusto ko munang simulan? Number one, okay? I like once again to reiterate and emphasize on the importance of ensuring authentic student engagement. Okay? Napaka-importante po nito because I like to believe that the key to learning is successful engagement. If we are not successful in engaging and connecting with our students, learning will not transpire. So how is student engagement happening? In a classroom scenario, there are three elements. Tingnan po natin sa diagram. We have the student, the teacher, and the content. Between the student and the teacher, there should be professional relationship. Without the relationship, engagement is not going to exist. Between the teacher and the content, there should be competence. The teacher should be an expert. Tayo po. We should be experts on the field na tayo na tinuturo po natin o dinedeliver po natin. And now between the student and the content, the student should be able to reflect and realize the relevance of what we are teaching them. And only when these things or elements are present, student engagement and learning will happen. Kaya napaka-importante po nito, no, na ang ating po mga estudyante na ipapaliwanag po natin sa kanila kung ano po ang halaga, saysay, at ang gamit ng mga bagay na ating itinuturo sa kanilang personal na buhay and how they can actually make use of them in their real life. All right, the next concept that I'd like all of us to review. Alam niyo po, review lang po ito, no? Ito po yung mga bagay na alam na natin. But of course, as we go through the profession, lalo na pag matagal na tayo nagtuturo, medyo nakakaligtaan na natin. Kaya ito po yung ganda ng pag-attend sa mga learning sessions. We get to be refreshed on some of the concepts, okay, na malamang basic pero are still useful until now. So the second is utilizing higher order thinking skills. Ayan, pakitanong po yung ating mga friendship na teachers. Ma'am, ikaw ba, tanda mo pa ba yung mga hots and lots natin dyan, no? Higher order thinking skills. If we are going back, no, doon po sa ating Bloom's taxonomy. Alam natin, na-update na nga po ito, no? Before evaluating or evaluation is, or evaluate, yun yung po yung pinakamataas doon sa hierarchy. Ngayon po, it's already creating, all right? So creating is being able or the ability of the students to actually innovate, to create something new out of something na nag-e-exist na. And again, creating is actually a level that will require experiential learning. Kaya naman po, again, balikan po natin ito dahil napaka-importante na pagdating po sa ating pag-craft ng lesson plan, sa paggawa po natin ng mga recitation questions natin, sa paggawa natin ng mga assessment tool, basically sa pag-design natin ng entire curriculum, kailangan po na maging gabay po natin or we should use Bloom's taxonomy as our guide. Alright? At dun po tayo dapat magfo-focus sa higher level, okay, of thinking. In our school, Global Innovative College, kami po, paggawa po namin ng assessment o ng exam, hindi na po kami nagtatanong ng mga remembering questions. Tinanggal na po namin yan. Aside from labeling, okay, the parts of the test, na itong test item na ito ay about analyzing, ito ay about evaluating, ito ay about applying, okay? Kami po, we already removed remembering, okay, being the lowest level of thinking or understanding. Ginagawa na lamang po namin yung mga recall, okay, test or quizzes during dun po sa sa regular quiz ng mga estudyante. Pero pagdating po namin sa major exams, hindi na po kami nagtatanong ng mga ganitong questions. Okay? So this will serve as our guide. Next, again, ito po ay isa rin sa mga bagay na gusto ko pong tandaan ng bawat isa, okay? Promoting disintermediation. So from the word itself, disintermediate. Pag sinabi natin disintermediate, medyo the teacher control, okay? The teacher intervention or mediation, medyo lumuluwag na. Dapat po habang tumatagal, will lead students to be independent learners, okay? And so the learning shift is actually progressing from pedagogy, meaning ito po yung educating the child, to andragogy or adult education, to eutagogy, which is self-directed learners. Mas independent na po ang bata. We have to always aspire, okay, to make or to bring the students to that level of maturity na kaya na po niyang mag-decide para sa kanyang sarili as to what should he learn, what more should he learn, and how should he learn. Okay? Ito po yung progreso nung disintermediation. Because naniniwala naman po talaga tayo na pagdating po ng panahon na ang mga estudyante ay nag-graduate na, wala na po tayo sa tabi nila. And in the past, education has been spoon-feeding. All right? Because dati naman po, lalo na nung panahon ko at mga panahon ng mga taong mas nauna pa sa akin, we treated education as an act of mothering. Okay? An act of mothering. Kaya po, halos parang spoon-feeding lahat ibinibigay natin sa mga estudyante. But actually now, in the 21st century and in the future, this may not apply anymore. All right? So we have to produce students who are independent and self-directed learners. Next, aspiring deeper learning. Okay, ito po ay napaka-importante. We should jump, okay? We should actually focus on from the surface. Tingnan niyo po nasa picture na ito, no, yung iceberg. Ang nakikita lang po natin is yung level na nag-acquire yung bata ng information. Okay, yung tayo po ay nag-share ng mga konsepto. Surface lang po yun, surface learning lang po yun na na-acquire ng mga bata. But we will have to aspire to actually bring students to that deep level or deep learning level kung saan ang mga bata ay may pagkaunawa tungkol po doon sa ating mga shinare. So paano magkakaroon ng pag-unawa? Babalik po tayo dun sa rules of engagement. We have to make sense. We have to explain the relevance. And then, bukod po sa deeper learning, kailangan mas deeper pa, yung deepest level, which is transfer. Okay? This is the ability of the student to actually transfer, demonstrate what we actually taught them. The ability to apply. Okay? And this element po, ito pong particular level of learning, yung transfer, okay, ito po again is contributing to the success of experiential learning. All right. What else? Again, balikan po ulit natin yung ating mga essential skills, yung ating 21st century learning framework. I believe that our curriculum now is based on this learning framework. Kung aaralin po natin itong buong framework na ito, these are all talking about skills. life and career skills, learning and innovation skills, or the 4 Cs na ngayon nga po 6 Cs na, no? Information, media, and technology skills, they are all skills. Okay, teachers, we have to start opening our mind and changing or entertaining paradigm shift na hindi na po talaga ngayon concept mastery or content mastery. Now, at this time, it's more on developing skills and competencies. Okay? So lagi po natin itong tatandaan. Because when we introduce and when we develop skills, okay, mangyayari lamang po ito when we actually introduce and we make use of experiential learning once again. Okay? Next, of course, scaffolding through schema. All right? Noong pong ako'y nag-aaral sa ng education, yung schema po is really a resounding word, no? Buzzword po yan pagdating sa mga education students. Ang meaning ng schema, no? Schemata, yung plural form niya, prior knowledge. All right? When we speak of schema, these are all information and opinion and beliefs na nasa ating mga pag-iisip. These are actually our concepts of things based on our experience, on our previous mga karanasan, ating mga nakita, the things that we actually sense. Ngayon po, napaka-importante po na ang schema ng mga estudyante ay rich. Okay? Dahil dito po nila kinukuha as basis yung kanilang pag-unawa on the things that we teach them. Okay, for example, naniniwala po ako, the brain actually functions through association, di po ba? Kaya po ngayon, pagka meron po tayong nabasa, meron tayong narinig, we actually contextualize these things based on our schema, based on our prior knowledge, or what do we know about these things. Kaya po kapag po ang schema ng isang tao ay medyo kulang at hindi ganun ka-rich, okay? Hindi rin po nagiging malalim ang pagkaunawa ng ating mga estudyante. And I'd like to believe, no, yung schema level po ng estudyante is very important also in comprehension. Lalo na po sa reading, yung generation natin, mas malawak yung schema natin, lalo na po nung mga panahon natin. Tayo, yung experience natin, diverse, napakadami. Nararanasan nating lumangoy sa ilog, mamangka, maglaro sa labas ng bahay, kapag 3:00 ng hapon, lumalabas tayo, nagtataguan tayo. Now, the current generation doesn't do that anymore, or don't do that anymore, no? Sila po ngayon, talagang na nga daw no? Parang gadget na lang, e-games na lang yung mga estudyante natin. Kaya naman ang kanilang schema medyo parang nagiging limited na at ang dami nilang mga bagay na hindi nauunawaan sa realidad kasi hindi po nila nakikita at na-experience. Kaya po it's important that we tap on the schema. Alright? Next. So how do we facilitate experiential learning in the virtual classroom? Now that we have discussed yung pong aking mga learning concepts and models na I hope nakatulong po para buksan natin yung ating kaisipan and prepare us, okay, in being open and being positive that experiential learning is possible. Ito po yung mga tips that I would like to share with you. All right? The first one is, let's reimagine. Let's think out of the box. When we say reimagining, we have to think out of the box, okay? And when you say think out of the box, all right, ito po yung mas maging open-minded tayo sa mga possibilities. And it will require quite a lot of creativity from us teachers, okay? Lalo na po sa panahong ito. Let's not settle on passive, okay, learning, na total naman, online lang, no? Eh di magsasalita na lang ako dyan, all right? O kaya naman, papagawain ko sila ng research work, all right? Hindi po uubrang ganon. As teachers, we have to be creative, we have to reimagine things, and we have to think out of the box. First, let's involve multisensory experience. As we prepare our lessons, okay, importante po na yung mga activities na gagawin natin sa ating online class ay multisensory pa din. When we speak of experience, it involves our senses, di po ba? Mas natatandaan po natin yung mga bagay that we saw, yung mga bagay that we felt, yung mga bagay na na-smell natin, narinig natin, nalasahan natin. These all compose the experience. And there is recall and retention pagka nararamdaman natin ang mga bagay na ito. So it's important po na i-check natin yung bang mga activities na nilagay po ninyo sa inyong lesson plan involve multi-sensory experience. Do they require students to actually feel, to actually see, to actually hear, smell, touch, even taste, okay? Itanong po natin yan sa ating mga sarili. Alright? Kaya naman po, if your class is pure teacher talk, hindi po yun experiential. Okay? Because the student is just sat. Next line, siya po'y nakikinig lang sa inyo. Baka po masyadong Q&A lang yung nangyayari. Wala tayong pinagpagawa sa mga estudyante. And also, if what you want your students to submit to you or to do in your class can be found from Google, hindi po yun experiential. Kasi po, makikiklik-click lang po yan, tapos ika-cut and paste lang po yung nakita niyang sagot sa tanong mo, yun na yung ipapasa niya. That is not experiential. Okay? All right, next. Number 2. Let's guide students to process ideas using the DIKW framework. Okay. So ito po ay matagal ng model, ito po ay matagal ng pinag-uusapan, but it's important that we review and revisit, okay, ito pong konsepto na ito. We know that everything around us actually are data. The world is full of data, no? Lahat po ng nakikita natin, lahat po yan ay mga simbolo, they are all data. But you know, data, they are raw. Wala po, there's no sense to them, okay, unless we put meaning on them. Okay? And once data, all right, has a meaning, nagiging information po siya. Di po ba? So ngayon po, and once information is applied in a particular context at nare-realize natin ano yung gamit niya sa atin, we achieve knowledge. We reach that level na knowledge na po siya. And then later on, as we go further and we realize the goodness, okay, and the bad side of things and how it could actually help us to be better individuals in the future, from the data, it becomes wisdom now. So I believe po na itong prosesong ito, dapat po i-guide natin ang mga estudyante na they actually go beyond literal, okay, or literal understanding of things. At alam nyo, napansin ko po sa mga kabataan ngayon, ang dami pong bagay na hindi nila alam. Kahit po yung pangkaraniwang tawag sa isang bagay, hindi po nila alam. Okay? Although maybe in technology, mas marami silang alam, but on common things na talagang pang-araw-araw nating ginagawa, ang dami pong mga estudyante na hindi po nakakaalam dahil hindi po nila na-experience ang mga ito. That's why teachers, when we actually deal with students, po natin to, iproseso po natin ito. Let's bring the students to that level na hindi po sila mananatili dun lang sa information stage. They have to reach that level of knowledge and of wisdom. Kasi pag ang estudyante po ay na-achieve ito, they will also achieve maturity. They will also achieve a certain level of perception and perspective about life. All right. Next. Tingnan niyo po itong example na to. Data, no? Isang pulang ilaw, okay? Yung pulang ilaw na yan, it doesn't have any sense, okay? As the data. But in the context of its function for traffic, yung red light or red traffic light, now it becomes an information. And then, kapag inaral mo na yung application niya, we know that the meaning of red light is stop. All right? And when we know that, we already have that knowledge. And going further, kapag inunawa natin na kapag hindi ako huminto, pagka naka-red na yung traffic light, pwede akong maaksidente, pwede akong makitla ng buhay, I can actually have problems, all right? And that is now the level of wisdom, all right? So napaka-importante po na we go back to this basic, okay, DIKW framework when we deal with understanding para sa ating mga estudyante. All right? Because ito pong processing ito will require them again to experience. Experiential pa rin eh. Bago ka makarating dun sa level of wisdom, you will have to check, no, what your schema is about it, what your understanding is, and how it actually affect your life, which are all experiential in a way. Next, ito po. Let's craft long-term transfer goals. as lesson objectives. Okay, sir, ano ba yung long-term transfer goals? Okay, sa atin po, pag gumagawa po tayo ng lesson plan, alright, di po ba gumagawa tayo ng mga objectives? We have specific objectives, we have general objectives, okay? Kadalasan nga lang po, minsan tayo mga guro, aminin po natin, nakahanda na agad yung activity. Mas nauuna po na, ay ito yung activity na nag-enjoy ako nung ako yung estudyante. Ay ito yung activity na mukhang masaya para sa akin, no? Pero dapat po ang importante, balikan natin what really is our objective. Because everything should start from objectives. Everything should start from the goal. Alright, tingnan niyo po yung aking picture na pinapakita ngayon. Ito pong road, para siyang road map, no? It's like a street or isang mahabang kalsada. Doon po sa dulo, nandun po yung goal. And that goal should be clear. Okay? So we can actually prepare kung ano yung experience na ibibigay natin sa bata. All right, and talking about goals, we have to talk about curriculum. So yung curriculum po comes from a foreign word which means a race or a plan to achieve designated goals. All right? Kaya naman po, curriculum is not just a list of topics and related activities. All right? So tingnan po ninyo ito, no? Before kasi traditional or old objectives focus on content mastery. The curriculum should highlight achievement of deeper learning by setting and achieving long-term transfer goals. Ito pong term na ito is a more modern term to refer a lesson objectives. Long-term, ibig sabihin po timeless siya. Transfer po meaning the student should be able to manifest and apply. All right? So dito po sa malinaw na kalsadang ito na pinakita ko sa inyong kanina, dapat po malinaw ang ating destination and we call that the long-term transfer goals. At tingnan nyo po, no, the long-term transfer goals, they should be anchored on essential skills. Kung yung pong inyong eskwelahan ay naka-anchor na po sa 21st century skills, so the goal should be anchored there. At yung sa mga set of academic standards na meron yung ating mga eskwelahan. Alright, and of course, other elements that should compose yung paggawa po natin ng lesson, nandiyan yung performance task. Of course, there should be rubrics and varied assessments. Meron pang mga disciplinary, interdisciplinary, and transdisciplinary performance tasks, meaning meron tayong cross-curricular integration. And of course, performance indicators. Dapat po malinaw sa ating mga guro ang mga performance indicators or manifestations ng mga skills o yung mga long-term transfer goals na gusto po nating ma-achieve. Alright. So ano ba itong performance indicators na ito? So ito po yung mga bagay na gusto nating makita na minamanifest ng ating mga estudyante. So halimbawa po, nag-decide na po tayo na naka-anchor tayo sa 21st century skills. Doon na lang po tayo sa apat, yung critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. Okay? So for critical thinking, ano ba yung mga performance indicators? Okay? Tanungin natin yung ating mga sarili. Ano yung nakikita sa isang tao na may critical thinking? Alright, a critical thinker asks questions, remains skeptical on things, questions information, identify biases, identifies ambiguity, uses evidence to support answer, agrees to disagree, analyze details, and understand background of a specific issue. So ito po yung mga bagay na makikita natin dapat na nagmamanifest para masabi natin ang estudyante has already achieved that level na critical thinker na siya. So if we know the positive side, we should also understand ano yung mga manifestation ng hindi critical thinker. So they do not ask question, gullible, believes in things at face value, narrow-minded, not willing to change mind, easily believes and agrees, that not seek other opinions, full of himself, does not support answer with evidence. Pag ito po ay napakalinaw sa atin, mga kaguruan, okay, kayang-kaya nating spot agad sa estudyante ano yung kulang at ano yung dapat nating i-work out, all right? Para doon sa estudyante natin. So let's consider naman po communication. What actually are the manifestations or performance indicators ng communication? A communicator speaks clearly using a specific language, confidently gives suggestions, they clearly explain thoughts, they express opinions, listen, understand messages, they provide feedback, express appreciation verbally, they expound through supporting details. So ito po ay ilan lang sa mga manifestations na gusto kong ma-develop ng estudyante ko. Kaya ang mga activities na gagawin ko doon sa aking pag-prepare ng objectives ay kailangang makatulong sa pag-manifest ng mga skills na ito. So ano naman ang mga non-communicator? They code switch when speaking. Okay, they do not give suggestions, they ambiguously explain thoughts, do not want to share opinion, listen to contradict, refuses to understand, remains quiet even when asked to speak. They do not talk to others. They do not support answer with evidence. Okay? So yan po ay ilan lang. I'm sure there are still a lot more. What about collaboration? Okay? A collaborator works well with others, agrees to disagree, welcomes other suggestions, understands other people's situation, they respect other people's opinions, welcome diversity and individuality, they exert effort to understand other people's cultures. Okay? And then, ano naman yung mga non-collaborator? They do not work well with others, of course, always want to be followed. They insist on what he wants, only cares for himself, does not welcome other people's opinions and suggestions. They criticize and discriminate based on looks, abilities, culture, etc. May discrimination. Is narrow-minded or close-minded and confronts opposite ideas and suggestions. So ito po ay ilan lang, dun pa lang to dun sa tatlo, no? Na mapaka-importante that we reflect as teachers when we design our lessons, okay? Let's think of the performance indicators first because these will guide us in preparing our lesson objectives, okay? Both in general objectives and specific objectives. And focus on the indicators at yun po yung ating gagamitin para tayo ay bumuo ng ating mga objectives sa bawat topics na ginagawa natin. Okay? Yan po. Okay, so look here, some samples of transfer goals, no? Effectively produce a portfolio of various written outputs in various genres for different audiences and purposes. Ayan. So again, that's experiential, no? Use knowledge of patterns of history to better explain current eventualities and become better prepared citizens for the future. Create solutions to common problems through collaborative, scientific experimentations and discovery. And effectively communicate with different types of people of different culture and background, keeping in mind understanding of tolerance and respect to diversity. So these are just some samples of long-term transfer goals. Okay. So what performance indicator should we look for in creativity? So kanina, no, I actually gave examples on the three. Sa inyo pong palagay, sa creativity, ano po yung mga performance indicators? So we can say that our student has achieved that level of skills on creativity. You can actually type your answers po sa ating chat box para po mabasa ng ating mga fellow learners ngayong umagang ito. All right, thank you so much. Next. Reimagine learning through the use of technology and media. Nandito na nga po tayo sa panahon where technology is really in the front line. All right? Although alam po natin marami pong mga estudyante na walang access sa technology and media, that's why we actually tap on other resources and other modes of learning. But for those who have access to technology, this is going to be very helpful to promote experiential learning in the virtual classroom. Alam nyo po, i-take advantage po natin yung teknolohiya na meron po tayo ngayon. Kung sa isip po natin ay hindi na kaya, ay hindi na talaga pwede, okay, wag muna po nating isara yung ating mga kaisipan because meron pa pong mga alternatives tayong pwedeng gawin. All right, for example, if you want your students to visit museums, there are now virtual field trips. All right? Meron na po mga virtual tours na nakaset. Kailangan na lang po nating maging mabusisi sa paghahanap. Okay, like all these links that I have. Okay, ito po ay mga virtual visits or virtual art museum visits. Tingnan niyo po, hindi lang nga ito nakalimit, no, sa local museums na meron tayo sa Philippines. These are all international museums. Na pag pinasok niyo po yung mga links na yan, para na rin po kayong nakapasok sa loob ng mga bigating mga museum na ito na kung sa totoong buhay, hindi po natin kakayaning puntahan dahil I'm sure medyo magastos, no? So dito po ninyo makikita yung mga links na yan sa https adventuresinfamilyhood.com. Puntahan nyo lang po yan, pati po mga zoo visit, naandyan din po ang mga links. Okay, and you can actually bring the virtual tours and the virtual educational trips into the comforts of the homes ng ating mga estudyante. Okay, so possible ang ating mga tours. Next, if you want to study geography, okay, at hindi ka makapunta doon sa mga lugar na dapat mong puntahan, let's tap on Google Earth. Okay, napakaganda po ng Google Earth ngayon po. Meron po ng Philippine tour, no, through the Google Earth site. Pwede niyo pong makita ang kahit na anong lugar dito. Kayang-kaya niyo pong ipakita sa mga estudyante ano ang itsura ng isang lugar through Google Earth. Kahit po yung mga nanay nila na nagwawalis po sa bakuran, kung gusto nilang hanapin yung bahay nila, kayang-kaya pong makita sa Google Earth. At real time pa po ito. Okay? So we just have to check out this site. What else? So if you want documentary, demonstration, experiments, and tutorials, everything else, YouTube is around. Okay? There are a lot of YouTube videos that you can take advantage of. There are a lot of lessons, there are a lot of tutorials, documentaries na pwede po nating i-assign sa ating mga estudyante to support our lesson through the flipped classroom. So, hindi na po kailangan na ay, wala akong magagawa ngayon kasi wala ako sa laboratorio, hindi ko kaya. Hindi po siya kinakailangang ganun agad ang ating pag-iisip. Kasi po, YouTube is there. You can actually just select and go to the link and then share the link to your students at voila, kayang-kaya na pong makita ng mga estudyante yung mga gusto nyo pong mapanood nila. And that again will give them that experience through seeing, okay? Yung mga bagay na gusto po nating makita nila. What else? Of course, sciences through interactive books, virtual reality, and augmented reality learning materials. Alam ko marami po sa mga schools na gumagamit na po nito, no? Yung talagang yung mga materials na mga libro, no, kapag tinapat mo sa kanilang mga gadget using an application, nagiging 3D, gumagalaw, okay? And I know Vibal has these materials. Okay? Kung gusto niyo po ng mga materials na ito para sa inyong mga estudyante, you can talk to them later on. Ito po mga pictures na ginamit ko are actual pictures from the Vibal materials. Okay? Na yung tingnan niyo po yung brain nagiging 3D po siya at i-explain na po agad doon ano yung mga parts ng brain. So parang nakikita po nila sa totoong buhay yung mga bagay na gusto po nating ipakita sa kanila. So there are materials like this nowadays. Okay? And I know there are a lot of private schools that are actually using this. No? Ayan. Okay, next. Of course, there's National Geographic Channel as well. If you would like to talk about geography, history, anthropology, nahandyan din po ang National Geographic Channel. Okay? So pwede po nating invite ang mga bata or assign to the students certain episodes na gusto nyo pong mapanood nila. And as they view these videos and these shows, na-realize po nila yung mga bagay na gusto nating matutunan nila. And they are all unveiling right before their eyes. Okay? Next. Other topics through the open educational resources. So meron po tayong mga OERs. Ngayon meron tayong DepEd Commons. So kaya naman po ito po ay mga additional resources na pwede po nating magamit para po matulungan tayong mga guro to actually still be more effective or be effective in the virtual classroom by still promoting experiential learning. Okay? Ayan. So what other technology tools do you use in teaching? Baka po meron akong na-miss. Please feel free to share dun sa ating chat box. I-share lang po ninyo kung meron pa po kayong mga ibang mga technology tools na gusto po ninyong ma-share sa ating mga fellow educators. Okay? Next. Let's go to the fifth. All right. Utilize scenario-based learning. Alam niyo po, napakaganda po nito. Okay? At hindi po ito talaga totally bago, no? Ito po ay dati na rin ginagawa, but this time I believe it has become better in approach, no? That we make use of scenario. okay, as our basis in making our students understand certain concept. So paano ba natin ginagamit ang scenario-based learning? Scenario-based learning uses interactive scenarios to support active learning strategies. It normally involves students working their way through a storyline, usually based around an ill-structured or complex problem which they are required to solve. So ito po ay para din namang pagkukwento. No? We create scenarios that are based in real lives. Hindi po pwedeng fiction, hindi po pwedeng hindi totoo ang basehan. Kailangan po they are actually based on real life situation that will make the students think and suggest or propose solutions to the problems that are actually posted by the scenario. Okay, so ano po ang kainaman ng paggamit ng scenario-based learning? Okay, number one, it enables failing forward. Yung pong failing forward, we know that tayo pong lahat, no? In failing, we learn. Alright? And through scenario-based learning, kapag ka po yung bata nagkamali dun sa kanyang solution na ginawa, dun sa scenario na binigay natin, mararanasan po niya kagad yung failure. Alright? And there, right there and then, marirealize niya kung ano yung mali. And that is a positive thing. That's why failing is not always negative. And that leads us to the second point. Scenarios accelerate time. Kaya po kung halimbawa, sige, hayaan nating mag-fail ang mga estudyante para matuto sila sa kanilang buhay. Medyo matagal pa po yun kung iintayin natin na mag-fail sila as businessmen, as entrepreneurs. Ito po, ina-advance na niya yung experience as you present the scenario and you let the students study the scenario and involve themselves in the scenario, it accelerates the time. Para naman po parang pinoproject na kagad natin yung pwedeng mangyari sa totoong buhay. Third, it trigger our memories, all right? As the students actually study the scenario and maybe collaborative kapag po group yung inyong approach, mag-uusap-usap yan at itatap nila kung ano yung mga experiences nila, ano yung kanilang mga memories about that situation. Okay? Kaya po, ito po ay makakatulong to actually trigger their memories as well. And then the fourth one, it's a form of storytelling. Okay? So kagaya nga po ng nabanggit ko kanina, later on, i-discuss ko po yung power of storytelling. Kasi po, it's also an approach to create experiential learning in the classroom. Fifth one, scenarios promote critical thinking. Kasi po, dahil nga po it's anchored on a real life situation and the students are actually required to come up with solutions dun sa medyo konting problem or twist na nilagay natin sa scenario, it actually encourages critical thinking. Yung mga bata po mag-iisip, pag ginawa natin to, ano mangyayari? Pag hindi natin to ginawa, ano mangyayari? Etc. Okay? Scenarios engage our emotions dahil nga po ito ay storytelling din at ini-involve po ng estudyante yung kanyang sarili doon sa scenario. It involves emotion, no? Kapag yung kwento ay medyo exciting, ma-excite din sila. Pag medyo thrilling, no? Kasi medyo yung problem na nilagay natin sa scenario, nako, parang ang hirap yatang isolve. Okay? Mararamdaman din po nila yon. And then number 7, scenarios provide shared context. Okay? Shared context because as we actually do scenario-based learning, pwedeng-pwede po nating hayaan ng mga estudyante na mag-consult. We can allow them to consult experts, to consult other people. And through that, nagkakaroon po ng sharing of context. Okay? Sa scenario-based, pwede po silang mag-interview, well, virtually, doon po sa mga tao na expert pagdating po doon sa kanilang field na makakatulong sa pag-resolve ng scenario. Okay? So, what topics can you teach using scenario-based learning? Feel free po to actually chat sa ating chat box. Number 6, maximize the power of virtual storytelling. Ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina. Napaka-powerful po ng storytelling, my fellow educators. Because storytelling is interactive. Kung akala po natin na ang mga nagkukwento lang ang gumagalaw, no. Because in storytelling, the person listening interacts, okay? Nakaka-relate po siya doon po sa kinukwento natin. Storytelling uses and develop language. Storytelling triggers imagination. So habang nakikinig yung bata, nire-recreate po niya sa utak niya yung kanyang nai-imagine doon sa ating kinukwento. So it helps in developing memory and understanding. Okay, at pagka yung bata na pong nagkukwento, it's also develop self-confidence. Kaya po sa storytelling, students also experience the journey. Kaya po siya ay isa ring tool to let the students engage in experiential learning. Yun nga lang po, as teachers, we have to be creative. We have to be really good pagdating po sa pagkukwento, okay? And this is also something that we can explore. Number 7, encourage student collaboration. So alam niyo po, kung ang mga activities po natin ay individual, let's wag masyado. Kasi po ang paggawa po ng mga individual tasks, napaka-stressful na po niyan, lalo na po ngayon, no? Nandiyan na iniisip mo, may connection ba ako? Wala na akong data. Tapos mag-isa lang akong gagawa ng task. Ang ang pressure sa bata, okay? Let's tap on collaboration, let's tap on group activities. Kaya naman po, ang dami-dami pong mga group activities na pwede po natin. And through this, experiential din po ito when they work together as a team. Nandiyan po may mga tasks, may challenges, may competition, may mga presentations kayo na pwedeng gawin, script reading, and brainstorming. Alright? So how do we group students? Importante po na alam natin, kadalasan po, random grouping ang ginagawa natin, no? Or you count off 1 to 5. O, ganun na lang po yung grouping natin. But I believe it depends on the purpose. We have to be intentional or planned in our grouping. Paano ba yan? We can group them based on their likability or yung kanilang similarities of abilities. Or they can also do cross-ability, meaning mixed. Meaning, kino-combine natin yung mga estudyante na iba-iba ang level of thinking, iba-iba ang skills, iba-iba ang talents. Kaya po importante na tayo pong mga guro ay nagpo-profile. We should know the profile of our students so we know na when we group them, sila po ay composed ng balancing grupo. Okay? Kaya po yung hindi lahat magagaling, hindi lahat mahihina. Kaya po minsan sa group activities, nagtatalo-talo lang. Kasi yung palang grupo, punong-puno ng lahat ng mga magagaling. Okay? So we have to be very strategic in our grouping, but this is something we can tap to promote experiential learning. Okay? So 8, authentic learning activities. There are things that we can learn, okay, from home. All right? Mga authentic activities na pwedeng-pwede natin gamitin sa ating agawin sa ating mga bahay that will let the students learn. Okay, for example, gusto niyo pong i-promote ang collaboration, you can do party planning, house cleaning, house redesigning, food preparation. Okay, if you want to promote critical thinking, you can actually tap on family budgeting, discussing current events, preparing school itineraries or schedules, cleaning up the wardrobe, etc. At pati po sa creativity and communication. Yan po, ang dami-dami pong pwedeng makita sa loob ng bahay na pwede po nating gamitin as activity or experiential learning activities to still make the student develop the skills that we want them to achieve. Okay. So, the 9th po na tip na gusto kong i-share is the use of PBL or case-based learning. I'm sure a lot of you already know this. This is a very authentic way, no, to promote experiential learning. Project-based learning, it's a student-centered approach. It involves dynamic process, no, where the students gain deeper knowledge and skills by involving active investigation or exploration to respond to real-world, authentic, engaging, complex problems or challenge. Kasi po dito po sa project-based learning, meron tayong driving question, no, based on a significant content. China-challenge natin yung mga bata. Anong gagawin ninyo? And then we let the student decide paano nila yun gagawin. As a group, they collaborate, they discuss what strategies are we going to do or to use to achieve yung target natin. And in that way, we tap on 21st century skills. And now, because the driving question and the content or the problem that you post is actually based on a real life scenario, it's authentic. Okay? And then, habang ginagawa nila yan, they consult the teacher, tama po ba ma'am yung aming mga ginagawa, no? It sustains inquiry. And then there's reflection and critiquing. Kasi kapag mali, pagka may kulang, the facilitator advise the students, o baka mas maganda, ganito ang gawin nyo. And once the students actually come up with the project, they are publicly exhibited. Kasi doon po sa exhibition, doon po nila ine-explain yung proseso. So this one promotes the process. Okay? Hindi lang yung output. It's the process that is more important in a project-based learning activity. Okay? Ito po yung ilan sa mga examples. No? Halimbawa, sa mga elementary students, you can ask them to come up with a daily schedule guide na pictograph in form. Ano ang schedule from the time they wake up to the time they sleep, from Monday to Sunday, and then ipe-present nila yung pictograph. That is a very good activity to have. Okay, for the higher level students, no, waste management and livelihood program. What project can you propose to address the problem of waste management and at the same time provide possible livelihood sa members ng community? Okay, pwede po yung maging project ng mga estudyante. And then for the higher education students, yung mga college, no, MMDA, they can tap on real life entities or institution, no, to meet the need of local government, MMDA, to inform, to connect, and to transact digitally. Okay. So pwede po natin itong mga. And these are all examples of project-based learning projects or activities or tasks. Okay. And now I reach the 10th point. Okay. We can establish cross-institutional partnership. Yung network natin, hindi po yan nasayang ngayon. We can still tap on them. We can still involve them in the learning of our students. So how do we do this? We can still continue with our mga MOA natin, mga partners natin. In our school, we have foreign partners. Meron po kaming partner sa Singapore. Meron po kaming partner based in Scotland. And this partnership allows our student to actually experience a different kind of cross-curricular learning. Makikita niyo po dito sa picture, no? Yung pong sa isang picture na dito sa kaliwa, yung pong actual na klase sa China at yung pong klase dito sa Philippines, sabay na nangyayari. Okay? It can still happen now, virtually. All right, you can still do this. You can still arrange this through your partnership, and you share culture practices between the two countries. And then the other photo naman is a consultation, no, with an expert entrepreneur from Singapore as we participate in an international startup competition. No, pwede pa rin pong mangyari. And through this, we still promote experiential learning. This time, it's virtual. Okay. So, remember our fellow educators, no? Only us can limit our creativity and what we can achieve. Everything is still possible po. Okay? Experiential learning can still happen even at home, even in the context of virtual learning. We also have to remember, no? Tingnan niyo po yung ginawa ng Emmys. Ito lang kamakailan, no? They have done a virtual awarding ceremonies. At it was something, no? Ang ganda ng nangyari. Okay. And then kung napanood niyo rin po yung star-studded script reading ng isang old film sa US, yung po mga bigating artista ginather nila and they read the script, no, ng movie, at it was an experience. Pwede po natin itong paggawa sa mga estudyante. For example, your subject is literature and you're talking about drama, you can assign roles, okay, or characters to your students, and then you do script reading together. And that's a perfect activity also to experience, no, literature. Another thing I'd like you to remember, my fellow educators, it's not only by asking them to do, but also in making them reflect. In all those approaches and methods and tips that I shared, we have to ask our students to realize, to come up with reflection at the end, para po ma-connect nila yung pinapagawa natin doon sa kanilang dapat na mas pahalagahan and how they can be applied in their real lives, okay? That students find relevance to what we teach them. Kasi kadalasan po, no, kung mapapansin nyo, marami po mga estudyante na parang hindi nila nauunawaan ano kaya itong pinapagawa. Pero alam nyo, nararanasan na lang nila pagka nandun na sila sa totoong buhay after graduation. Doon na lang sila babalik sa atin, Sir, thank you. Yung diniscuss nyo sa klase dati, gamit na gamit ko po siya ngayon. Okay? Pero pabilisin po natin yung time. Okay? We can already project them now and make them realize now through reflection so they can easily understand already the relevance. And of course, remember this, my fellow educators, All teachers must be futurist. I mentioned this in my first talk in Vibal. We should never cease reimagining and imagining the unimagined. Sabi ko nga kanina, tayo lang po makakapag-set sa ating sariling limitation. But everything else, it can be done. We just have to try and work together. And so with that, I'd like to thank all of you for your time. Thank you very much for sharing your time with me. And I hope that you were able to learn and to gain insights and perspectives from today's discussion. Thank you so much, Vibal. Thank you, Jillian.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we will proceed to the question and answer portion. Our first question is from Jen Alejandro. Makakatulong ho ba ang paggawa ng mga gawaing bahay sa experiential learning?
Yes, I actually mentioned that in my talk, no? I actually mentioned it na pwedeng-pwede po nating gamitin yung mga gawaing bahay. Actually, ang dami nga pong estudyante ngayon, hindi nila alam, hindi marunong maglaba, hindi marunong magsaing, hindi marunong, okay? Pero let's tap on them kasi ito po yung immediate na pwede nilang i-access. And there are skills that can be learned, okay? Doon po sa mga activities na yan. Kaya nga po sa amin, sa homeschool program namin, we tell parents na yung pong mga activities sa bahay, household chores, they are part of learning. They're part of education, no? Kasi may natututunan po ang mga bata doon. They are called life skills. Kaya po napaka-importante na ma-involve din po natin yon at ma-count natin as part of experiential learning.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is from Maricar Dizon. Everyday po ba, Sir Jason, dapat pong naka-PowerPoint ang lessons naming mga guro? At everyday po ba dapat may group activities sa online class?
Well, it depends, no? Again, I'll go back to your objectives. Hindi naman po everyday dapat naka-PowerPoint. Kasi baka po pwede naman na kagaya nga po ng ganito, okay? I am talking to you and I'm explaining things. Wala akong PowerPoint. So the teacher becomes, no, the PowerPoint or the visual aid. Tayo po yung nagiging ganon. Pero of course, I believe that the PowerPoint can be a good tool, no, para ma-visualize ng bata. But balansehin po natin, hindi naman po kailangang palaging ganoon. Baka po mamaya hindi na kayo nakikilala ng estudyante nyo dahil hindi na po kayo nagpapakita. Yun lang pong PowerPoint agad ang lumalabas sa screen, no? So ibalanse lamang po natin. Okay? Kagaya nga po, it's an aid, no? It's a visual aid, but it doesn't mean na yun lang po lagi yung pwede nating gamitin.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is from Hernan Bandelaria. How can we train students to become familiar with various workplace tasks if on-the-job trainings are still not allowed?
All right. Even TESDA has come up with an alternative to that, no? Pwedeng-pwede naman po tayo yung scenario-based learning. That is a perfect approach that we can use. The teachers will create a real-life job-based scenario that you will give your students, and then pwede po nilang gawin sa bahay, i-video nila yung mga sarili nila, and that becomes an authentic proof kung na-achieve nila yung skills na gusto na, yung competency na gusto nating ipagawa at ma-achieve nila. For example, yung skills po na gusto nilang nating matutunan ay yung tamang paglilinis. If it is ano tawag dito, for example sa TLE, no, yung paglilinis ng bahay, okay? Pwedeng-pwede po nilang gawin yun sa sarili nilang bahay, and we can actually make them video themselves. Sa school po namin, ginawa na po namin yan, no? Nung nagkaroon na po ng pandemya, ang mga bata hindi na po namin pwedeng padala sa mga hotels at sa mga establishments to actually perform yung mga task. Sa bahay po nila ginawa. We asked them to video themselves doing it properly, based po dun sa mga concepts at mga practices na dapat sundin, at dun po namin ina-assess yung bata based dun sa video na pinakita. Malalaman nyo naman po kung edited no? If it's spontaneous, makikita po natin yung level ng skills ng estudyante.
Thank you very much, sir. That's all the questions we have for now. Any last reminders for our viewers today po?
All right. I would just like once again to thank you for joining me today. Thank you, and I hope na-realize po natin na kahit na po virtual learning, kahit na po nasa bahay ang mga estudyante, it only takes creativity, and teachers, we have to be on the lead pa rin. Tayo pa rin dapat ang nasa front line sa pag-prepare ng mga ito. Okay, kahit na po parents are now part, okay, of their children's learning, kailangan i-guide po natin sila. So, creativity, reimagining is important para po mapagawa pa rin po natin, na ma-ensure pa rin po natin that our students are still experiencing learning authentically sa kanilang mga tahanan. Thank you.
There we have it. In behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this very eye-opening and insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today, sir. And to all our Kavibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Don't forget to register to get your e-certificate of participation. We also encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Vival Facebook and YouTube channel. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.
Thank you.